recording is indeed in progress. So this is episode 10 of A Family of Educators. That's right, 10. We got something that's less than 10 hours. Maybe it's about 10 hours because, some are 48 minutes, some are 62 minutes. Who knows what content we've made and how fast people are going to zip through it like at 4 times speed.
Well, I will tell you, when you sent them all to me, I just clicked on every one just to see what I look like.
Well, but yeah, me too. So whatever. I mean, I'm a monkey. You put a mirror in front of me and I'm like,
yeah.
How does my hair look? My hair looks great.
How about there was a reflection in the window as I was walking into the house. I stepped on timber. It was like, oh, sorry. Yes. All right. Number 10, Family of Educators. I am Amy Pickett. I am out here on the East Coast. I teach early childhood education, and my brother Galen.
That's me. I teach physics here at Cal State Long Beach out here on the West Coast. So today, what are we going to talk about?
How to say goodbye. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Because learning is a lifelong thing, but anyone's presence in a classroom is definitely finite. I want it to be finite. People shouldn't be in my classroom forever. I want them to come in, they stay for a while and learn and grow and whatnot, and then they move on. And moving on for me is a ceremony like this that's pictured behind me. You put on robes and...
Come on, you got to scoot over. You got to show the people what they want. Come on. That is my brother. He had longer hair than I did then.
I did. Fuzzier hair too, if you count, the split ends.
The facial? I don't know.
That too.
I was in the mirror. No.
So yes, this is the faculty at MIT saying, finally, after 4 years, get out. And you can see they're delighted by that. This guy here is just delighted.
Yeah. That one up there is going like this. Yeah, that one.
Bye.
But I have to say, I think I have that face sometimes at the end of the year. It's true. I mean, there's only... And that's why I try to put so much into the year.
Yeah.
The end of the year is a happy, well-fitted goodbye. You are ready for the next step. And it is supposed to be a next step.
Yeah. I mean, the end of us interacting is not the end of, clearly,
learning.
No, yeah. Or your existence as a human being. My God, I hope not.
Right.
But if you think about the impact you have, you start with a 4-year-old and they're a 5-year-old by the time you say goodbye.
Most of them.
Well, there's overlaps and whatever. But so that's looking at, 1 out of 5 years is your involvement in that person's life. That's 1/5. That's 20%. Yeah. If you think about a 20-year-old kid spending 4 years or 5 years on an undergraduate degree, that's that same ratio. It's still the same 1/5, 20% that I interact with them over their entire 4 years of working at a college degree. So, and now there are major changes that are happening then. Someone that comes right out of high school is remarkably different from someone that is ready to graduate and move on. There's a total difference there between people that don't think of themselves really as adults and people that have got all sorts of responsibilities and are looking for, start careers and whatnot. And I expect, there's changes of the same scale that you're looking at, but none of your kids are looking to get a job.
No. Although we do have classroom jobs and some are more popular than others.
I bet.
Before COVID, I would hand out, jobs look different this year just because of COVID, but used to have a job and then you'd have to be at school on time because that's when I would hand out jobs for the day. And then we'd go about our day. Well, kids would come in late and, I'm like, oh, sorry, we missed the time for the job, And they're kind of like, huh? And so it was funny because then I started to have parents tell me, they're like, hey, yeah, whoever said, Mom, we got to get going. I can't be late. I want a job. It's like, wow, you know what? Slow your roll. That'll all come in due time, all that adulting. But
right. And we haven't even talked about salary and benefits on those jobs.
Right. I mean, yeah, there's a huge amount of growth. And in pre-K, we get to work on social emotional.
Mhm.
And kindergarten now, and it's all through play. And kindergarten now, I think starting to rework play back into at least the kindergarten curriculum. But when I say kindergarten children are really forced to sit and learn, which is really not the way 5 and 6 year olds learn.
It's not really the way
sort of
college
sending
students
them
learn
out
either.
into the world. Like, I hope you can hold your shit together so you can learn in kindergarten. Like, that's my hope. Like, can you just like cope with all of your distractions and your big emotions? And can you like, can you problem solve your way out of how you feel about something so you can learn? Because it's coming at you like this. Day one in kindergarten, it's like coming like this. So it does, I do get concerned about some students as they're leaving. And then some students, it's like, wow, they had done just so much work and they had so much trust in me and in the classroom. So it was harder to say goodbye to classes that I looped with.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I was actually kind of surprised, but again, it's like, I mean, you work with people for multiple years, and that's what looping is like. But again, they've even done studies where too much looping, it's not a good thing.
Right. I mean, so I teach a bunch of classes scattered throughout, whether, first year and then towards the end. But I clearly, I never wanted to be the person that someone would take 8 classes from.
Yeah.
And not because I'm terrible, but because I just have a singular and a strong point of view about almost everything.
Right. No, and I think that's the point. Like, I have a teaching style and a belief about education that is strong and well developed and delivered. So that's not going to be the best for everybody. And it might not be the best for anybody in a very long term. And then if you're talking about real academics and teaching in the sense of like, reading, math, writing. I mean, I taught those subjects a certain way, and you try and hit, all the different learning styles, but you can't be great at everything.
Right.
You can be good, you can be really good at some stuff. And then, so that's why you kind of want that mix. The only issue that I get nervous about is you got to have good teachers. Like, they are good, but in different things. Like, but you got to have that consistently each year, each year, because I've also heard of these.
You've got no control over that at all.
No, I know. That's the hard part about saying goodbye. Like, that's
like, I've done what I can for you.
There is no control over that.
And I think you did mention to me the research that, in order to have an impact, you need like 3 good teachers in a row.
To make up for one bad teacher, 3 consecutive good teachers in a row.
Yeah. So that is
that's high stakes, and that's I don't know what the probability of that would be to be consecutive, and then depending on where that is and where you're supposed to learn how to read, because if you haven't learned how to read by third grade, it is now an uphill battle that it's become exponentially hard to climb. And I've also heard studies, they take the fourth grade test and they design prisons and beds based on who passes, who doesn't.
Right.
Which is, devastating. You're sitting in, this is 20, 17, 18, 20 years ago, where I'm sitting in these PDs and I'm listening to this, just going like, oh my God. Like,
it kind of ups the stakes.
I got to teach them how to read.
Right. Your job is important. Our jobs are important, because what happens on the other side if it's not a good job is just terrible. Yeah. But the other side of that is, so I think we both use that as motivation. Not that I must do a good job and therefore I will, but I got to do some extra work here, work that goes beyond just being a physicist. When I can make my classroom a humane place to learn things, but the rest of the world isn't like that, and people are going to come up against. And I do worry about that. I worry about how successful will people be after they leave me. Now, fortunately, I've got a set of colleagues that are really good at this. So at least inside my department, the other courses that you would take as a physics major, I've got total confidence in the ability of that faculty to do that, to give good experiences. But that's 12 people. So the people I'm handing off, the people that these students are being educated by, we're all essentially on the same page. And there's fluctuations, there's ups and downs. And my blind spots are not really blind spots of technique. It's, there's even bits of physics that I just don't like and I'm not all that familiar with, and just don't do all that good a job teaching, that someone else will do a good job with. Yeah. So it is easier to say goodbye in an individual class if you know where they're going, and and after 10 years of doing specifically this, I know that after they're through one of my classes, say a course in quantum mechanics that a person that's a junior level physics major takes, that I can't express to you exactly the kind of challenge that course is. It's a bloody course. Yeah. It is a course that involves mathematics that would just, start at one end of the screen and go down. And that's the first 20 minutes of class. And we just keep doing that again and again. I know. And yet after and it's not just you throw that out and because I'm brilliant, you get it. There's other supports that I put in there that take it out of my hide. Ways to allow people to come back and take a look at what their earlier work was, revise it if it was necessary. Mm-hmm. But I know that after they're done with me, they don't need, that they can do all that stuff for themselves. So it's not just teaching physics as you do, it's teaching general problem solving. And these problems are not physics problems. These are problems of what do I do when I'm just wigging out and I am panicking because I don't understand something. The problems that you have to solve before you can solve the problems that I teach. Yeah. So saying goodbye at the end of a semester, at the end of the semester, I'm perfectly happy to just say, bye, get out of here. I don't want to even grade your exams. That's not the final goodbye that a ceremony like this would mean. That would be like at the end of a quarter or at the end of Christmas. Goodbye, everybody. I want a vacation. Go. Go. Goodbye.
And they still think I live at school. So like, all right, bye. Next time I come back to school, I'm just going to you. Like, a lot of them don't even understand, like, no, this is it. Like, this is the last day of pre-K. Goodbye. Mwah, wish you well. They're like, they're thinking in their head, like, all right, see you tomorrow. Like, no.
We'll see. Okay, but I remember my daughter Maggie. This is so she's got a twin. So this is a kindergarten that you know, 2000 maybe 2010 or so, and it's the final day of kindergarten. It is the promotion exercise, and
Oh, yeah.
every kid is having a ball. Like, yeah, this is great. It's a party. We got music. We got
Yeah.
hats,
Cookies, music.
and Maggie was the one that figured out, wait a second, this is actually it. And she was so attached to the teacher. I mean, she was just, it was, you know, trying to keep the lip like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
"Ah!"
Oh,
And everyone is looking at, all the kids are looking at, what is your problem? This is a party. I'm good. I want to see you. I'm so yes.
yeah.
Sometimes it is maybe to the benefit of, you know, if you can just sort of close the door before someone realizes
Yeah.
what's
Well,
happening.
and when I taught first grade, it was the last day of school, and they're like, where's our ceremony? Because they had gotten a ceremony in pre-K, then in kindergarten. So they're like,
That's it?
where's the
kid.
thing? Like,
Where's
I'm
our
like, where's
hats?
the thing?
I want a
And
cake.
it's literally 20 minutes of the last day of school. Like, everything is moved off to the side. There's nothing on the bulletin boards. Like, we're literally done. Like, you're walking out, I'm behind you. I'm not coming back till August.
Click, close, lock.
And they're like, but where's the, I go, oh, do you want a ceremony? Oh, okay. And I'd be like, you know, oh, okay, thanks for coming to first grade and goodbye. And I pretend to like kick them in the rear and say, bye. Yes.
That's about what
And
that
they're
guy
just
wanted to
like,
do to me.
wait, what? But I just thought I just couldn't believe it. But in their world, they had always gone to school, and then they always had a celebration at the end. That was a sort of ceremonial kind of moving on. And I was like, no, that's not coming till like 8th grade now again. So bye.
So you got a long time. You got a
Yeah.
long road ahead of you before you get another funny hat.
Yeah.
Now, these funny hats, I love these funny hats. I mean, there are so few opportunities to actually like indulge ceremony and tradition on a college
Yeah.
campus, but this is one of them. Look at all these goofy goofballs.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell are you wearing? You think you're a judge or something? Look at those poofy puffy hats.
Yeah.
However, I remember thinking when I went through my graduation ceremony at Chicago, and Liam, if you're listening, I remember that you are the only sibling of mine that was actually there. That's karma for you. So I remember that. The ceremony was
Whatever.
okay.
I visited you.
You did, and that was
And we shared
ceremonial
Harold's
enough.
Chicken Shack.
Which is a tradition, so that's in keeping with this. But I remember holding on to the rental robe, which was just a choir robe,
Yeah.
just a maroon choir robe, and one of those funny hats, and thinking, what if I just kept these? I looked through them. I don't see a barcode. Don't see a number. This looks like an honor system. But we were under the gun. We needed to pack up a U-Haul, needed to drive a whole bunch of shit from Chicago to Pittsburgh. So I just threw it into the bin with everyone else's.
Yeah.
And always stuck with me until I got myself in a position to be one of those guys wearing that stuff here in California. So I started pouring through websites. Hey, how do I get myself one of these sweet set of robes? $600? I'm not paying that.
Oh
No
my God.
way. And then it occurs to me, I know someone who has robes like this. I bet it just takes an ask. I better get in line first because I've got someone coming behind me who just earned their PhD after me.
Ah,
Hey, Dad, what are you doing with those robes?
yeah. And
Oh no, I got them. They're my sweet ass robes.
oh,
They're
really?
mine. That the ceremony, I'm that guy right there now who's chuckling at the people
Yeah.
graduating. I've got a hat just like that. I got robes just like that. Now, unfortunately, the colors of the hood are appropriate for the University of Denver, which is a great school. That's where Dad earned his PhD.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. I mean, it's scarlet and gold and white, and I did check out the formal rules here that you are allowed to wear the academic regalia that is not appropriate for your degree if they are antique robes that have been handed down to you.
Really?
Yes, so I am legit.
Do you know what Paul's son Mitch did?
No.
So Mitch was graduating from medical school, and there's all these doctors in the family. If you're a doctor, you can robe your. So he goes, yeah, my dad's a doctor of education. Oh. And no, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. But he still got on stage and robed his son.
Fantastic. Yeah, right. Sure.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure. We may want to
I
edit
would like
that
to do
out.
that stuff, but I become a rule follower and can't break those rules. But I love people that can.
Yeah. Well, in this case,
We're not
this
breaking any
gets out.
rules.
This is now going to get out on YouTube or wherever. So someone
Yeah.
from that medical school is going to march up to him and go, "Come here, you. I
Yeah.
want those robes back. We got to do this
Yeah.
legit now." So,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, you know what they told him? They said, oh, we didn't even think you were going to graduate. They didn't actually have his degree because already. They're like, oh, because to be fair, he was out sick. He was dealing with an illness. So they were, you made it? Okay.
Oh,
Okay,
you're
great.
you're alive.
And how do you
Congratulations.
spell that last name again?
Yeah, so it looks like one of those kindergarten promotion certificates, sort of handwritten with a little scrolly.
Oh, yes.
Hey,
Yes, I'm aware of
congratulations.
those. Yeah.
Sparkles.
They're very colorful. They have the little, girl and boy stick figures with the smiles and yeah.
Yeah. And that's your medical diploma. Put it on your office. Nothing says confidence when you walk into a doctor's office, like,
Yeah.
a diploma.
Which one are you? Are you the girl or the boy? Oh.
So in any case, it is the tradition is cool, and I appreciate it because it does mark a boundary. It's an achievement, not just for. I mean, this looks like a solid achievement of mine, right? I'm going up. I did all this work. Here I go. I now have an appreciation for the fact that there was someone in the audience taking this picture.
Yes.
And that this is an achievement not just of the person who's walking across the stage. As a member of the faculty, I see someone walking across the stage, someone that I, intervened with when, there was a significant issue, or someone whose success I was able to add to in a little way. And, I'm happy to have been there, but there's an entire penumbra of the family that this is our first kid who went to college, the first kid in our entire family who's gone to college. And they didn't just go to college, they went to college in physics. And they're going on to get a doctorate somewhere. Or they're going on to be a high school physics teacher. There's just, so knowing, and it's not like being a parent. So I know what having a kid, setting a kid, okay, here you go into the world. I mean, that is ridiculous terror.
Good luck with that.
So it's only really kind of shadowed a little bit at one of these graduation ceremonies that, these people that I've helped a little bit to have opportunities. It's rewarding for me, and it's not even all that sad for me. The way, I tell you, dropping a kid off at college like we did in August, dropping Maggie, the same kid bawling at kindergarten. drop her off in Albuquerque a week before, early move in, a week before anyone else is there, and she's alone in this dorm room with all this gear. And we take her dog away from her and drive back to Los Angeles over
Oh
14
man.
hours. I mean, that was an uncomfortable drive.
Yeah. Oh. Yes. I feel like I feel the goodbyes, I mean, it's generally a good feeling. I do look back on, I think we had talked about this before, when I first get a set of names,
Yeah.
I have no idea. They're just a name. There's no picture, there's no emotion, nothing. And then at the end of the year, when I'm filling out the little certificates or whatever, like there's so much emotion and memory and growth. And I mean, every year I have students that teach me something and make me grow a little bit and reflect a little harder and do a little better, So, and it is good to say goodbye. It's good to say goodbye. It's good to see them again the following year.
Now that hardly ever happens to me. No one comes back and says, "Hey, Dr. Pickett, it's me. Remember me? I was in your class 8 years ago." Hi. I mean, I would, but I mean, I don't get visited the way a kindergarten teacher would get visited by someone that's just graduating from high school or something like that. No.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's not really, no one thinks of me in those terms.
Yeah.
Maybe it's basically, okay, I got from you what I needed and goodbye. You lost your chance to give me a D and I'm now out of here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, it will. And it's sad because now I just have a blank stare and I look at people who say, "Hey, Miss Pickett, hi, you remember me?" And I'm just like, okay, I remember faces certainly better than names, but I'm like, "Miss Pickett is old. You are going to have to help me out with a name. I need a name." And then some names I don't forget.
Yeah.
Then I don't see the face. I mean, but it's funny. And then it's, just to see some kids, like, I mean, I have kids in the same school that I had maybe 3 or 4 years ago. So just to see them, walking in the hallway, and some of them are like this tall. I'm like, hey.
Can we go back to Zoom so that you're all at the same height forever?
Right. But it is good to see them. And then you just think of, and with pre-K, I do think of the families too.
Yeah.
And how those were good interactions, and I learned from families, and but it's good to say goodbye, and it's great to have a summer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's great to have a summer. Yes, we talked about that. And there's all sorts of recovery that happens for everybody.
Yes.
So anyone comes up to you and says, "Hey, we're thinking about year-round operations." Nah, 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 la, la,
Yeah.
nah. What did you say?
Well, if I had 10, 15 more years to go, year-round operations, and I could get a month off in like September, travel when it's cheap and not crowded.
That's a
point.
That's a point. That's a fair point. And then maybe another compensating month in spring.
Yeah, because I think that's how they would do it.
Oh no, for me,
which would be interesting. I mean,
year round for me would be another entire semester that starts in May and ends in August.
Pay?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay, well, I guess we're no longer a family of educators. It's just me now.
Oh, well, yeah. In any case. Yeah. So that it's so yeah, so they're saying goodbye to the student, and that saying goodbye to students happens all the time. I mean, that's a feature of how this works. We sort of sit in place as these people come by, and every year fourth grade, I mean, 4-year-olds are always the same age, right? They're always 4. So it sort of seems like the 4-year-olds or the first year college students, they're always the same age. It's timeless it looks like it's timeless, but we just add one more to our pile of years.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
gets, so the experience helps. I like having a bunch of experience and kind of knowing what if I were given a chance to trade places with someone who's only 1 or 2 years in, no way, no how, Jack. Nope. I like it the way it turned out.
Yeah. You really couldn't. You really literally could not pay me enough money to go back to my second year of teaching. Like there's a reason why you're young-ish when you start teaching.
Right. I was already a full professor before I figured out how to say no. Like, which means that I'd already said yes to so many things. Yes. So
Yeah.
one of the things, so you can, it's sort of, there's this on the faculty and maybe on the staff side too, for the teaching staff, it seems like things sort of go on forever. You've always got the same people you're working with. I've always got the same people in my department. We hire people every once in a while, but saying goodbye to someone that is retiring after you've known them for 20 or 30 years, that is something that is quite a bit different than one of these graduation ceremonies. So is that something that you've dealt with much?
So the school that I'm in now, there were some people that kind of retired within my smaller circle pre-K, which I knew them, but I hadn't really established, relationships. And we kind of do have a lot of retirees every year because we're such a big school.
Yeah.
School 6 where I worked when I started. Yeah, there was a core group of
well, let's go. That's an interesting point. Let's go back to that, because this is something that I don't have much experience with, saying goodbye to an institution and moving to another one. So I've been sat here down in the same office. Well, the buildings changed, but in the same department since 1999.
Yeah.
What's it like to say goodbye to an entire school?
Well, so interestingly, they closed school 6.
So everyone had to say goodbye.
Everybody had to say goodbye. Now, at the time, the year before it actually closed, there was an opportunity at Oasis, which is the Adult Careers and Education program. So I was over there. So saying goodbye to school 6 was bittersweet because it was saying goodbye to people that I had spent 16 years of teaching and establishing, a reputation in one building. It was a school. It was, it was a great unit of teachers, and not everybody agreed with each other or liked each other, but I felt
that's the same in my department.
Respect of yeah. I went to Oasis, and it was a completely different kind of experience. I wasn't working directly with students per se. I worked with a lot of adult students, but in different capacities. I was really supporting their needs as opposed to teaching them. Then I went to 33. But that transition is definitely hard. Because you have to just sort of learn everything all over again. And the core group of teachers at school 6, I'm still, in contact with, but those are the teachers that I felt I went, through the fire with. Now, just one of them is still working. She's my age. There's a few that are younger, but I felt like I went through a lot with them. Good things, but also traumatizing things that you just sort of bond on, wow, that just happened, So there's there's like a relationship and an understanding and a friendship with people that you had to go through a lot with. And there, you know, there's a lot of situations and a lot of things that happen that they definitely bond you. So. But I also like change. I'm afraid that maybe if I sat in the same thing, doing the same grade for 25 years, I think something bad would have happened.
Well, I have nothing yet, but you know, there. So probably, if you look at our colleagues who are tasked with administering the entire system, so a university or you know, pieces of a school district, those people change jobs a lot.
Yes.
They move around. They do not build, you know, a decade or 2 decades on a single site, figuring in detail how things are working and what's, you know, what's going on with that. I expect that from that point of view, you and I look like these, you know, imagine the administrators are just sort of zipping around like, you know, just this swirling activity. And we're like, oh,
yes.
So they say goodbye and hello more often than we do. And they don't really get involved with students the way we do either. And so partly it's one of the mismatches between how administrators and faculty look at each other across that divide is faculty are looking at, I've been here for 20 years. I know what the problems are and I've been working to fix them. Across the other side, it's, my God, how could you?
You've been here 20 years and you're the problem. No.
But basically that's it. Have you no ambition? Why are you doing the same job that you've been doing for 30 years?
Right.
So, I mean, there is an asymmetry there. I am much more hopeful when I am saying hello to a new administrator. And I'm much happier to say goodbye to the ones that I have soured a relationship with. I mean, I just.
So in the last, this is my 9th year in the school I'm in now. And it is a complete overhaul of all the administrators, some twice.
Woof. Yeah.
And it's hard. I mean, I am on my, let's see, 1, 2, 3. I'm on my 4th direct report administrator in 9 years.
Oh my God. So every 2 years, every 2 or 3 years, it's a new person.
Just about, yeah.
Wow. So it's a good thing that all the projects involved have got timescales that are shorter than 2 years.
Yes. So
that's a good thing.
If you're a quick study, you understand our curriculum like that.
Oh, that you take the first year to understand.
And this,
that.
let me say, I thought going to pre-K was like a transition from 5th grade to 4th grade.
Oh, you know? No, yeah.
Oh, it's just a little bit different, you know, curriculum. Kids are, hell no. Pre-K is completely different. Everything you thought you knew about teaching, you have to, you still know it, you just have to see how it fits in pre-K. Like you all the best practices, you still have that goal of having a learning environment where you are, you know, humane to the humans that are in your presence. That is the same, but just the way it looks and, you know, the energy you spend is totally different, because in pre-K, you're spending all of your energy as soon as the door opens. And then when you say goodbye at night to the last little friend, yes. As opposed to 1st grade, even in 1st grade, you know, I have my office and I'm like, office time, where I could literally just sit there for like 5 minutes and be like, oh my God, And you can't do that pre-K. So it is a lot. And for someone who's never taught pre-K to now have to be an administrator and support teachers teaching pre-K, it's a lot. So I will give that to every administrator that I have had.
Mhm.
How can they do a good job? How can they be set up to be successful when, you know, it's usually found out at the last second, and
Yeah,
you know, and then it's just reactive, like everything's just coming at you. Once you open the doors for the year, there's no reflection time, or there's not a lot unless you take your own personal time,
yeah.
which you can only do so much of that. So yeah, but yeah, so I've had lots of fun bosses.
To which you have said goodbye more than once, 4
Yes,
times in the
yes.
last 10 years. So now what about colleagues that, you know, have gone off into retirement, sort of leaving you behind and to be in charge of whatever it is you're in charge of?
Yeah, how about a friend? She was an excellent teacher. She was actually part of the family model. She was the 3rd grade teacher when I was 1st grade teacher. She went off and retired to have babies and like do her own thing with her family and her husband. I was like,
You can do that? Wait a second. How does that happen? Can
yeah,
wait, do I get to do
know.
that? Yeah.
And she was one of those teachers that made me a better teacher. So it was hard because I kind of, you know, even though I actually had left school 6 and she went on to a different school, I still actually worked with her a little bit,
Mhm.
family literacy, and just being around her and just talking to her made me a better teacher and a better person. So that really is hard to not be with somebody. And there's somebody that I'm thinking of now that will be retiring soon. And, you know, it will be hard not to have her, you know, in the building to be able to interact with. So when I mean, you know, see me when I'm saying goodbye to everybody. See you suckers, I'm retired.
Well,
I
I'm sure there's
have much
people that
empathy,
see
you
you
know.
the same way.
Yeah.
But, you know, as a more senior member of the faculty who's clearly in the last third or maybe quarter of my time doing this kind of work, the people who are just starting now, there are things that I can interact with them about, but I am not going to be sort of, you know, I'm not going to go through the same kind of fires that they're going through to get started.
Yeah.
And I can be sort of, you know, off to the side as some kind of a support, or, you know, some sort of avuncular presence that, yeah, back in my day, we had chalkboards with chalk.
Yeah.
It killed my computer. I don't know how many times that chalk did. But it's,
I do try and support not necessarily new teachers, but new teachers coming to pre-K, because I remembered what that was like, and it was brutal.
yeah. So that's, I mean, it's a new teacher coming into pre-K. It's like a new faculty member coming into my department. It's almost like that pre-K student. Let's make
Yeah.
sure that you learn that this is a good place to be, and that
Right.
if you got problems, there's solutions, and those problems are almost entirely social emotional. Like, how do you deal with students? How do you deal with the other members of the faculty who are going to be making decisions about whether you got a job or not?
Right.
It is odd how, I mean, maybe it's not so odd, because the basic task is, the basic task is teaching and learning about your own feelings and motivations. And that's the main work of a 4-year-old. And if you ignore that work as a college student, and your faculty don't know that still has to be done, that makes it way harder than it has to be. And as a faculty member starting off, if you don't know that that's work that has to be done, that makes the job just way harder and less fulfilling and everything.
Yeah.
So that's an odd of, you know, how we start and how we sort of wind up here. I mean, start off talking about, yeah, what called me to teaching? And now we're here at, man, I can't wait to quit.
Right? Get the big ticker that just goes across your computer.
Or
Counting down the
yes,
hours.
exactly. So, I
Days.
mean, this is unless and until we feel like doing more, and we probably will. And if the three people that are going to watch this, including Dad and his good friend Tom McFadden,
Yes.
assuming that there is some sort of demand for
And
this.
Timber. I'll make Timber.
Oh, Timber. Okay, you know what? I bet Timber actually knows my voice now. You could have
Probably.
You could have trained Timber.
I bet I could turn on the computer and just play one, and he would come in here and get comfortable thinking, "Oh, mom's gonna," and then he
food time when
like,
this is all over.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is not goodbye exactly. I mean, certainly not goodbye for you and I. I mean, we're still in this thing.
Sort of like a pause vacation.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about all you people, you jerks. You can go by. Go goodbye. I mean, go do what you're doing. You don't have to stay here and listen to us.
Right. As a matter of fact, people might start asking you questions like, why do you still listen to those two?
Well, we're awfully entertaining.
I mean,
we're not bad to look at. We're entertaining,
Hey, there you go. All right. Well, so on that note, we'll stop recording, and I've got to because it's the goodbye one. Let's do
yeah. Yeah. So goodbye. Bye.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Au revoir. I mean, maybe until next time, if there is one. But for now, I'm done.
Bye.